VOA, 5th of July 2023. Experts, ahead of the election, enslaved Cambodia will depend more on China. According to commentators, China-funded development projects in Cambodia are a mixed bag for the nation. Although some see them as a chance to enhance the nation's subpar infrastructure, others worry about Cambodia's economic dependence on China. A road connecting Phnom Penh to Bavet on Cambodia's eastern border with Vietnam was unveiled by Prime Minister Hun Sen a month before the country's general elections. Beijing funded the project. The expressway connecting Phnom Penh to Sihanoukville, Cambodia's principal ocean port city, was built with $2 billion in funding from China and opened last year. The 135-kilometer road is expected to cost approximately $1.37 billion. In mid-June, Hun Sen promised at a groundbreaking ceremony for the Phnom Penh-Bavet motorway, "The expressways will be finished before I die." As Hun Sen approaches 40 years in power, the announcement's timing highlights his reliance on Beijing to achieve economic success. Analysts fear that this dependence is making Phnom Penh dependent on Beijing. The infrastructure projects funded by China, according to Chai Lim, a visiting fellow at the Center for Southeast Asian Studies at the Royal University of Phnom Penh, not only yield benefits for the general public but also play a crucial role in bolstering the legitimacy of the ruling regime. The favorable socio-economic effects brought on by the surge of Chinese investments serve as evidence for this type of legitimacy, sometimes called economic performance-based legitimacy. Notably, the recently announced Chinese highway projects would further boost the favorable image of the Cambodian government as the elections get closer, he said to VOA Khmer. After the government illegally disqualified the Candlelight Party from running in the May election due to incomplete paperwork, the ruling Cambodian People's Party will be up for election again without a strong opposition rival. However, factors like voter turnout and spoiled votes will be keenly monitored as a sign of widespread discontent. Though the timing is still uncertain, Hun Sen has set up his eldest son, General Hun Min, to succeed him. Hun Sen has refused to apologize for accepting Chinese generosity that is exempt from Western demands for democracy and human rights. However, as Chinese financing has supported Cambodian construction over the past 10 years, worries are increasing that Cambodia would amass an untenable debt load, placing it at the whim of Beijing. The expressway construction projects are not set up as loans but as build-operate-transfer (BOT) models, where a Chinese business is reimbursed through ongoing revenue before ultimately turning over ownership to Cambodia. According to Sihanoukville, an associate professor at the Thunderbird School of Global Management at Arizona State University, relying too heavily on Chinese investors to underwrite public projects in Cambodia means the real patrons are not the Cambodian people, but the investors in their country of origin, in particular, China. Cambodia should not rush to develop more expressways with Chinese investors, he continued. It should shop around for the best deal instead of letting these investors build a road and then operate it for many years before transferring it back to Cambodia after its economic value may have vanished. Tolls for half a century of oppression in the East India Company fashion. Following the opening of the expressways, the BOT deal will require the Chinese state-owned company CRBC to collect tolls for 50 years. The Belt and Road Initiative, which is Chinese President Xi Jinping's signature foreign policy and aims to connect China with Africa and Europe via land and maritime networks, may include the Sihanoukville and Bavet expressways as part of a larger network as Beijing seeks to increase its global influence. Hun Sen stated last month that the China Road and Bridge Corporation, CRBC, is looking into the viability of building $4 billion expressways to Siem Reap and Poi Pit City near the Thai border. The Center for Southeast Asian Studies in Cambodia's capital, Phnom Penh, is also connected to Chai Lim, who believes the BOT model is a smart move because it will alleviate the current debt burden, which has reached approximately $10 billion. The government must ensure an effective and efficient coordination of policies during the project implementation process, transparency, and, most importantly, mitigate any potential negative impacts that may affect the local community, he said. China Road and Bridge Corporation, Cambodia, headquartered in Beijing and offices in roughly 60 nations and territories, is responsible for funding and building all expressways. The China Communications Construction Group, CCG, the parent company of CRBC, reported $119.9 billion in group sales in 2021, even Coano, The results aren't mad. According to Engineering News Record, a U.S. construction industry newspaper, CCCG is the third-ranked contractor in the world in terms of international income. It is among the major participants in the Belt and Road Initiative. Linking economies, seeing competition. To connect the economies of Asia, Europe, and Africa through roads, train lines, and power plants, Xi created the Belt and Road Initiative in 2013. It has also played a significant role in China's geopolitical rivalry with the United States, strengthening Beijing's influence in the global economy and diplomacy. Hun Sen stated during a public event in May that BRI has benefited Cambodia for 10 years and praised Xi's proposal as a win-win. Wang Wenshan, China's ambassador to Cambodia, who attended the expressway's groundbreaking ceremony in early June, declared the project a symbol of cooperation between China and Cambodia and a fruitful achievement of BRI. But the U.S. has cautioned nations against undertaking significant projects as part of China's BRI infrastructure plan. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen recently expressed her concerns to Congress. At a hearing in March, Yellen stated, "I am very, very concerned about some of the activities that China engages in globally, participating in nations in ways that leave them mired in debt and don't support economic development." As a form of debt settlement, Beijing took control of Sri Lanka's key port, according to Washington. The government of Hun Sen claims that its borrowing is still in check and that the BOT projects help it avoid falling into a debt trap. The Ministry of Economy and Finance estimates that Cambodia's current foreign debt load, which was $9.47 billion in 2017, or almost 35% of its $27 billion GDP, can comfortably rise to $12.62 billion in 2023. Nevertheless, a survey from the Kiel Institute in Germany in 2019 projected that Cambodia was the sixth most indebted in terms of GDP among 50 countries that had received loans from the Chinese government and private creditors. Analysts claim Hun Sen has been a dependable ally of China's interests on the international stage, despite escalating tensions over the South China Sea and Taiwan in the region. However, China and Cambodia have disputed diplomatic quid pro quo claims. Last month, Cambodia halted ASEAN preparations for regional military exercises, claiming it needed more time to consider an Indonesian proposal that would have infuriated Beijing. Political watchers in Cambodia claim that Hun Sen has frequently complimented China's no-strings-attached diplomacy as relations with the West have worsened due to his crackdown on dissent and the accompanying legal assault on the political opposition. The road is a source of joy for many Cambodians and may serve as proof that the Prime Minister is implementing his economic program. However, communities that are forced to relocate are concerned about their future. On the intended path to Bavet, Sok Phuen, 49, owns a 700-square-meter parcel in the province of Kundal. She worries that she won't stay there for very long. The corporation generates significant profits. But the village loses because they are the victims, the mother of four added. China is nearby to Cambodia. We can have an expressway because of this, she continued. Penang Y, a 72-year-old neighbor of Phuen, is concerned about losing her 1,200-square-meter parcel because the expressway's construction is expected to be finished by 2027. "I am terrified of being homeless," the mother of six stated. "I'm frightened because I don't know where to go. These days, there is nothing we can refute," she continued, appealing for compensation for her land. "Whatever projects they want to do, they can do. Don't make other people miserable."